Well, hello, everyone. Greetings. I am so glad you are with me today because we are going to be we're going to be exploring like this what is going on in reality, okay? And I'm like even wondering if there is a reality. But we're going to be talking to an insider who's outside of reality and outside the matrix and exploring really what is going on the planet. So guys, I am Joan of Angels. I want to welcome you here. I'm so glad to see you and welcome back if you've been here before. And what I do is I help people remember who they are and why they're here. And you can check that out on joanofangels.com. But so meanwhile, we're going to be talking to Rob Yachts, and I probably pronounced it wrong. He'll help me pronounce it. But before we start with Rob, I just want everyone to kind of get in communication and harmony and soul syncing. So take a deep breath in with me and let it all out. And then once again, taking that deep breath in and letting it all out. And right now, sending a connection from my heart to your heart, from my heart to Rob's heart, and connecting back to from you guys back to my own heart. And so it is. So, our guest today, many of you already know him from Full Spectrum Universe. He is calls himself the ultimate outsider, okay, and also the Saturday Night Savage. So I'm going to have to find out what that is. How savage is he on Saturday nights? But he is a researcher, a historian, an international speaker, conspiracy investigator, paranormal investigator, and broadcast podcast host. He's the founder and creator of Full Spectrum Universe and Full Spectrum Network, and this show, Full Spectrum Universe, was the first show of his network, and his topics go on anything that he can think about. So, especially in the paranormal and in the unusual. So, he's also working to become an author to document all of his discoveries and a filmmaker, documentarian. And so, he's doing a lot. He's doing a lot of work in this field. We are very, very grateful for him. And I brought him on because I want to actually know who he is. Every time I go on YouTube, he's there. And I'm going like, who is he? So welcome, Rob.
Thank you so much. And you said my name right. So first and foremost, absolutely pronounced it right on the money. Which is for most of my life, nobody usually pronounces my last name right. They
Oh my
say
God.
Vox, Hawks. There's a lot of different things, but I'm so pleased to be here. And Dr. Joan, I love you so much. And just being here is an honor and a privilege.
You know what? I agree because I'm bringing all of you into my sanctuary, the Joan of Angels Gallery and Spiritual Sanctuary. So you're absolutely right. Welcome, everyone. You're all in my sanctuary with me. One day I'll take the backlight on and show you all the sanctuary. Rob, I just love that you're on here. And I was going to say something funny about your name because it doesn't sound Italian to me.
It's not. It's very German. And I see. Here's the funny thing. My mother is 100% Italian. My dad is like 75% Italian with like 20% German and like 5% Native American, Iroquois. So I'm kind of a mix, but I'm mostly Italian, believe it or not. And I grew up in New York, so the Italian kind of resonates out of my pores, like many
Well,
people in this
okay.
area.
So let's just get down here. Where in New York are you from? Because you know I'm a New Yorker.
Of
I'm
course, of course. I grew up on
transparently.
Tuckahoe Road in Yonkers, and then at about 14, I moved up to a place called Somers, New York, which is Upper Westchester. And from there, I'm now in the next county over in Putnam County. So I'm still about an hour and 15 minutes from the city. And as of right now, I don't venture down there much. There's not much down there for me anymore. But, I've always been a native New Yorker my whole life, and it's been quite the journey.
So very, very interesting. Well, I was born in Queens and then moved out to Long Island and then left and came to California and never really went back to New York again. The only thing New York about me is my accent, okay?
That's
And
right.
talking to you is going to probably bring it out. So, Rob, tell me what you're doing back in Putnam County, New York.
Well, right now we're, still pretty. It's bad. It's not so like a lot of people around here. It's pretty suburby. So I stay home. I research. I work. I'm trying to put, a book together right now. It's gonna be my first book once it's finished. We put I delve 24/7 into this work. This work for me has been just a complete creative outlet as well as just a life choice, I guess we could say. It's put me on a path that has just expanded what I know to be me to the utmost ability. Like, and that internal reflection has given me this ability to really dive into things that are strange and unusual. Because a lot of what we see on a daily basis, when people see strange and unusual, they go, all right, never mind. And they walk in the other direction. And I'm the kind of guy who just like walks right towards it. I'm like, I want to know what that is. I want to know how that works. I want to know why that is. What's going on here?
That is really fascinating. Guys, I know some of you know Rob. Let us know where you're from and what part of the country you're from or world. So, Rob, you like to investigate strange and unusual. Like, were you always like that growing up? Did you have encounters or strange and unusual experiences growing up?
As of right now, I'm going back and kind of cataloging the things of like missing time and stuff like that. And I have had a couple instances, but back then I didn't know what it was. And until we actually did the total disclosure event was the first time I was cognizant of some sort of contact in the sense of I saw a spacecraft in the sky and it, kind of came towards me in the sense of it was very, very high. And one of the funniest parts is I think I manifested this because my fiance she isn't really into the world that we're in. And I've always wanted her to kind of dip her toes in and get used to what we're doing. And, I was like, if she could only see something, it would really change her perspective. And we did together. We saw it together. And she was like, I don't know what that was, but I know that that's probably not something that I can explain. So she won't give me the full, that, "Oh, there's definitely aliens out there now." She gives me like that, I just don't know what that was, but after that, I actually, cataloged 8 different like, actual, terrestrial craft doing a triangle pattern around where this actual UFO was up in the sky. It looked like a star, and then it got bigger, and the light got bigger, and then it moved towards me, and then it just was gone. And I was just like, "Oh my god." And I really think I manifested it to try and, bring her to our side of things and the way we think. But, I loved history, and this is how I really got started in doing the strange and unusual. There was a lot of different things in history that couldn't be explained, or the mythologies. Were they real? Were they not real? And this is something I still work on today because I love comparative mythology and things like that. So if it's is it real? Did that really happen in that way? It starts with the Bible, and you're looking at the Bible. Was the Bible a tome of reflection, or was the Bible just stories that were created to make lessons? And you're like, it's difficult to say because there is no real answer as of right just yet. I think that personally, I think that it was actual history, and what they were trying to do was they were trying to catalog consciousness in ways that they used consciousness to become more aware. And figures like Jesus and all that was an enlightened soul who could manifest whatever he thought. And was he God's son? I believe in a creator, yes. So I believe that there might be some genetic material made from a god. Who knows? But I always was a big, big history buff, and a lot of the anomalies in history kind of drew me to those strange and unusual patterns that I saw, and I would just, go whole 100% in and just try and figure it out.
So, actually, you know what? I understand that fascination when things do not make sense that and some of us can't cover it up. Like I was brought up in secrecies and now I'm compulsive about like digging in. I'm really annoying about it to find out what's going on if it's something that was kind of kept secret from me. And nowadays, I'm really interested in every single secret because I feel like they impact our life so much, and that those powers that be should lie to us in every single way they can about everything is beginning to disturb Joan of Angels. And Joan of Angels getting pissed off. I'm going to tell you something. I don't think it's going to be a good sight
I'm getting
at
out of the way.
all.
I'll tell you that right
Okay,
now. I'm getting
because
out of the way.
what I'm hearing is, when the righteous begin to know the power that they have and they demand justice, then or they demand to be heard even, then nothing can stand in the way. So I don't know. You just made me really think of that in that way.
That's
So,
awesome.
and just little things like today reading it, being reminded that there were 500 different story, books of the Bible, and only 70 something made it, and actually they kept out all the juicy stuff that could tell us how we connect to spirit and how this planet is created. So,
Well,
I love
absolutely.
what
And
you do.
that's one of the things that started was when I first started to look into these histories and these anomalies, it was more like, let me figure out the truth. But now when I look into some of these histories, it's more about internal work and how it reflects on who I am and what it does for me. It was a very tremendous transition of just the surface level to
Mhm.
what exactly am I figuring out about myself, especially when I get into like native mythology too. Oh, it's like a totally different world, and I love that connection that I have to those stories and what it truly brings out of myself once I'm in the knowing or in the now.
I totally hear you, and I resonate with that. We are we're waking up. And so how long have you been doing your shows? When did your like wake up happen? Or have you always been awake?
I want to say that probably about 8 years ago, I had my full enlightening wake up. I didn't start doing my show until it was right before we all got locked in. I decided to focus my energies. I was a very 9 to 5 kind of guy, just, going to work. I worked overnights in a warehouse. It was destroying my body and my mind because of the sleep schedule. I wasn't on a regular schedule and I was very isolated. So once all that stopped, I decided I'm going to focus my energies. I was always doing research, but I was never giving the research back to people and saying, "Hey, check this out. Look into this." I was always just compiling it and like, this is really cool, but what do I do with it now, right? And I had guest starred on Clarence Mitchell's show and Omar's show so many times that I became like a mainstay on the shows. And I'm like, you know what? Maybe it's time for me to bring my ideas to fruition and really see what I can do by putting it out there. And I mean, I'm not going to say it's been tremendously successful, but I enjoy doing it so much that it's a success for me because I get that outlet. I don't care if it has one person who listens or 7,000. It doesn't make a difference to me. My compulsion is to just get it out because eventually it's going to breed a life of its own. And when people are in the knowing, and one of the things I'm very big on is these thresholds to where we engage people at these levels. And when we hit specific thresholds, we initiate them to dive deeper. And when we get people to that point and they're doing their own research, it becomes a totally different world out there. And I think that that's kind of where I'm at right now with it, that gauging those thresholds because everybody's is different. I could tell you one thing and you'd be like, that's cool. I could tell somebody else something and they'll be like, you know what? That doesn't make sense or I don't understand it, but I'm going to. And I'm trying to enact that in every person I come in contact with so we can all know who we are and know what that is.
Okay, that is profound. Okay, because you're gauging the threshold then of like how much they could take or their awareness then, so that you can then build it up to get to them to that point where they cross over into
Yes.
knowingness, right?
Yes.
That is so crazy. Okay, I love that. I love that. And I love it in particular because I'm going to be starting a new show on a censorship free platform, which I'm happy to tell you about later. And
Yeah.
I'll be letting everyone know. But the name of the show is going to be Awake, Aware, and Ascend with Joan of Angels. And and I've been kind of thinking about, okay, because I have to write the whole thing about. I was like, okay, how's that going to work? And now you're explaining it to me that we're helping people reach that threshold to cross over, because it's a threshold where it's like, oh my God, they're right. Or that's an important place. Like, oh my God, I want to see more. It's like a fish hook
Yep.
that takes hold to grab people to want to know more. And that takes a lot to do that.
It's a lot. It is a lot of work, but I really think that it's going to produce some of the best types of conversations that we can have too. Because I could tell you something that you would may find menial, but the person who's listening could say, "Wait a minute," and find it so profound that it does have an impact. And that's why all conversations need to be had, no matter how minute or how major. I think that they're there to be had, and it really is it's this moment in time, and when people, like, you can see when those lights go on, when that bulb hits on, and they're like, wait a minute. And this is one of the things that we've done with Clubhouse, and our resource on Clubhouse is we're able to reach so many different people on Clubhouse. We have the Truth Seekers Tavern, and we do a lot of stuff about current events. And, a lot of people, when they hear these current events, they're like, this is crazy. How can this possibly be? And then we give them evidence based information, and they say, well, wait a minute. If they're doing that, what else are they doing? And now it starts, and now you're questioning everything, as we should be. Everything should be questioned: our reality, our perception, the way we see something. How do you feel about it? And once we have all those people having those conversations, and then they bring their perspective back to the collective, we have a fuller, more robust understanding, because it's coming from so many different perspectives, that all stones will be uncovered, right? All the angels will come in and tell us what's going on, instead of just one person pontificating a position and saying, I'm the one who's the authority in this information. And that's why it's very important to be those forever students too, to just keep learning, because you can learn anything from anybody.
Give us your Clubhouse groups so that Tina Marie can put them up in the
Sure.
comments and
We
stuff.
have the Truth Seekers Tavern, which is where we serve up big glasses of truth. And then we have Full Spectrum Universe. Full Spectrum Universe is ubiquitous across almost every platform. So it's either Rob Yox or Full Spectrum Universe. If you type that in into any platform, you'll find us.
Whew, whew. And Rob is watching the universe. I think you're dismantling the matrix and making it comprehensible. And one of the things that you're talking about is that really, how do we even discern truth anymore? Because there is no truth out there. The history's been destroyed. Because I've been following some of the Tartarian stories now and the films, and I'm going to be ready to do a whole deep dive thing with everyone on that. But our whole history, everything that we think, okay, this glass of water I know is real.
Hmm.
But is the water that's in here really real? Okay. Do you know what I mean? Is that real
Right.
water I'm even drinking? Who knows anymore? And then we're told what to believe, and at some point you just can no longer accept what you're being told. And so I love the truth seekers, and I because I've been trying to follow you into Clubhouse.
I know you found me in a really not
Oh
so
my
okay
god.
room. That
I
was a
was like in a
wild room, but
worse than a slum. It was a little
yeah,
seedy. It was a
yeah.
little seedy. But that being said, the thing about Clubhouse is it's so intense that actually every time I followed you, I wasn't actually mentally ready to be in those rooms.
Hmm.
So that's why I would pop in and I go, wait, am I ready for this? And I was like, well, not yet, Joan.
That
But I
second room we went to was the Truth Seekers, even though it was a spiritual development room. We have certain clubs that are off of that club that really kind of dovetails into all the different perspectives, as in spirituality, history, science. We really try and encompass all of that. But the main hub is that Truth Seekers Tavern. And it's really great for us, because I have a whole group of people working tirelessly to bring all different types of evidence and shows and things like that. It's just it's really crazy. We don't even have a website for the Truth Seekers Tavern yet. It's just what it is. Like it's just there, and it's only on Clubhouse. It's the only place you can find it.
So it's a clubhouse group, and several people are in it with you. You're bringing out full information on truth
Yep,
or relative truth. Because my dad used to say, if 99% of the people believe that black is red, then that's the truth. Okay, and no
it's
matter
true.
how well, but we know that it's not, and organically, when they try to pass off a falsehood as truth, it actually pains you. It causes trauma in your beingness, subtle trauma, because you don't even know that you've been violated. So those kind of falsehoods actually violate our peoplehood.
Absolutely,
You
absolutely. And
know,
one of the things that happens in today's world is the information is not just readily available, it's thrust upon you from every avenue. And that overstimulus either lets you I don't even want to say understand it because it's not a complete understanding. But what it does is it turns these manufactured truths that because of that repetition over and over and over and over, e- even if it was false, it becomes a truth because it's everywhere. And this is where we're in this veil lifting phase of not co-signing on what they're doing and saying, listen, no. Like with Tartaria, just to go into Tartaria really quick, I looked into a little bit of that, and I did it at one of the conferences. I did a small little presentation on it as like a filler presentation, and Tartaria was supposed to be this basically Russian, like within the Russian province, this city. And like the when I was looking into some of it, it could either have been this city that was there, and it was kind of opposite of Atlantis. If Atlantis was good, Tartaria was the evil, and it got destroyed. Or we could look at what Admiral Byrd saw, and Tartaria could be past the ice wall where nobody knows where it is. So there's even on that one subject, there's two different perspectives coming in, and you're like,
there's
well,
more.
which one is? Well, of course there is, but you're like, when you start on the surface level, you're like, wait a minute, which one is the right one? So what avenue am I going to go down here? And one of which is a manufactured truth, and the other is a truth. And the CIA destroyed these documents too that were of Tartaria, so you'll never fully understand it. When I say it's manufactured, it's everywhere you look, it's going to tell you that it was a Russian middle of the continent between Europe and Asia type of civilization, and you'll find it so many different places. So that's a manufactured truth because they're trying to gull it. They're trying to jam it down your gullet and just here it is. And that's not
Right.
what it is.
Right, which they're doing, by the way, guys. We know that they're doing it about things like this and, things like that. And nothing is true that's coming from the top down. It
That's
all
one of the
comes from
things
in
we
here.
touch on Clubhouse a lot is
Yeah,
that and the perceiving ailments of the last 5 6 years of what we see
right.
in regular kind of surface level society.
Yeah, I totally get it. Just going back to Tartaria, by the way, guys, the research I've been showing has Tartarian maps that show that Tartaria was actually a civilization around the world. Even in America, there's Tartarian civilization evidence. So I'm not prepared to tell you the results of my deep dive, except to tell you several things. The controllers have reset our planet more than once. The Great Flood was only one of them. What they're trying to do now is only one of them. They did it a few hundred years ago. And it's so much to understand when you think that they even screwed around with our time. And there's even more supposition that it might not be 2023. It might be 1023 or 22. So even that, though, causes mind-boggling things that everything we know isn't true. Who knows where we are? Are we a rock in the universe? Are we a globe in the universe? Are we in a universe?
That's wild to think about too. And what they want people to be confused. And when the people are confused, or you basically what it is if a man or woman doesn't know where they come from, they're a man or woman lost. And that's what they want. They want that lost. They want the culling of a lost civilization so they can rebuild it in their image from the ground up. And people like us are not going to allow that to happen because
No.
it's not who we are, right? It's not what we do, and I fight this at every avenue. So it's sort of like we're kind of become freedom fighters in a sense, and it's really kind of transitioned from just delving into this information into doing this for the betterment of humanity. There's, it's a dichotomy. It's a package deal now. It's not just,
Right.
hey, look, you're doing the right thing. It's, hey, look, you're doing the right thing. People make, see you as something that you didn't plan on, but it's still good to do it, and you have to know that it will turn out well if you do it. So, it's a very moving community, and I love it. I love being a part of the community, and just listening is the best. Is the best. You get so much information from everybody and their perspective, and it's just so incredible.
You have thrown yourself into the pursuit of truth and revealing truth in a really positive way, Rob. So I have to say that we're very proud of you. Your
Thank you.
guides,
Thank
your
you.
people, so much really, and to be a truth teller in this world is not easy. Look, they used to put truth tellers to death. Galileo, all those famous people who were put to death for saying the earth was round instead of flat. Now they're saying the earth is flat instead of round, but they'll still, you know, come after people, whichever side you're on, if it's not the party line of the century.
That's right.
and and we have had several resets, and to tell you the truth, this is a new reset that they're trying right now. It's been in process for a while, and we are, because we've been talking about timelines and altering timelines and shifting our where we are in a place to be awake, aware, and ascend because we know what's happening.
A-
So kudos
Absolutely.
to you.
Thank
Kudos
you.
to you,
Thank you.
Rob. So what else do we need to know then? Like, what do you feel is going to, well, the first thing I want to say is, okay, you started right before all the, or right when everything was shutting down. And I'm
Hmm.
looking and seeing how far you've come in 2 years, because that's been a 2 year journey. And, and I just want to like think that amazing. And I see this past 2 years as initiation for most of us, a grand initiation to know who you are and what you're here for. And it kind of sounds like you've anchored in your purpose in a lot of ways.
I think so. I've got, I think, two purposes right now, and one of which is we talked about with the thresholds, but there's a second one, and I think that second one is to catalog and collect information, because God forbid there ever is a catastrophe that is sort of a culling or a reset in that way. I have a database that will help people in the future find their way back to this information, which is what I'm collecting: books, religious texts, documents, anything and everything I can get my hands on. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to take this database. I call it my knowledge database, and I want to put it on all different mediums, just like the cave walls where they left us paintings to tell us, hey, look, things weren't exactly what you saw or what you've heard. This is what it is, and there's representation on those cave walls. So in turn, I'm kind of following the footsteps of my ancestors doing the same, but I want to put it on paper. I'm going to put it on the internet. I'm going to try and put it on a crystal if I can, just so the future world has this information readily available at their fingertips whenever they want it. And it will help if there ever is, God forbid, that upturn where we're no longer here. They have something to go off of. That future legacy has the initiation and that ability to get to where we are, if not further, because they won't be programmed by those controllers. They will be the controllers, and they'll be the ones implementing it at a young age, early, so they can expand on who they are. And I think that that's one of my very big, what probably my most important mission is that. So it's not so much for us, it's for them, the future, the legacy.
I want to take that in for a minute. Yes, and I agree. And it's our children, and it's the future of the planet, and and it's reminding me of when they stuck those lost those lost books of the Bible in an urn. you know, that was later found 1,000 years later. So I think that's really powerful. It's a real powerful commitment to do that. So what do you feel is going to be happening in the next few years? Do you have a sense of where we're going? Do you want to
I do.
venture a
I do.
guess?
There is it's still up in the air, I think, and we're sort of on this precipice. And even though I think consciously we've come over the precipice of being in the knowing and exploring who we are consciously, I think that the community at large, in a sense of, the society itself, is turning to this pivotal point. And this pivotal point, I don't know what it's going to be, but there's going to be a spillover. And I think that this spillover is a good thing. I don't think it's a bad thing. I don't think it's something negative. I think it's something grand. I think it's something great. And I think that during this process of awakening, there is this, this split that's going to happen, like in the Hopi prophecy. I don't know if it's exactly on the Hopi timeline, but I believe that the ones who are out there doing a disservice to people are going to be given to the light, and the light is going to shine upon them, and their judgment is going to come at some point. And when it does, it's going to be bad for them, but good for us, because it's going to expose all of the multifaceted layers of how they were trying to capitulate us to this control. And I think that we're there. We're there. We're at this moment we're going to head into a future that's never been had before, or we're going to go into a place that's never been on a world level. When we look at history, if we look at the ancient Indians, as in India, not the Native Americans, they were culturally and spiritually advanced than most of their peers around the world. The Japanese as well, some of the Chinese tribes, some of the the Egyptian tribes. There were certain tribes that were ascended in a sense, like the Irish. Most people don't know, but the Irish and the Phoenicians had a tremendous relationship. And the Irish clerics were spiritually teach the Phoenicians, and the Phoenicians blossomed because of it. It's one of those histories that nobody really talks about, because the Phoenicians have stories of where these white men came to their shores and taught them everything they knew about society in the sense of spirituality. And I think it's going to be on a more worldly scale now, which is going to be, extremely important, because we're going to find this symbiotic relationship back with Mother Gaia and who we are as a people. And it's going to be about humanity, not about race or religion or, you know, gender or any of that stuff. It's just going to fall, it's going to wash away. It's not going to be important anymore. It's going to be us, humanity, or the humanitarians, versus uh, the AI people who praise the AI gods. And I think we're finding out who those people are right now. They're making themselves known. So I think we're in a transitional period right now. And I think once we hit over this transitional period, we're going to have all that we could imagine and more.
Like that. It's going to be that kind of high vibe.
Yep.
Well, you know, I absolutely agree. I don't think it's so simplistic. There's a lot of stuff that's breaking down and causing an issue. When I sit back from another perspective, I have to laugh at a lot of the things that I'm seeing. When it's too painful. Okay, as a human, some of it's too painful for me to deal with emotionally. It's like, oh my God, they're doing this, they're doing this, they're doing this. I hurt for humanity. Okay, I literally hurt for humanity on what the controllers are trying to do to our people, all of us. And even if we came down from somewhere else to be here, we are here now, and this body is here now. So, so, but I also understand that every day there's more of us becoming quote light. I never called myself a light worker, but I suppose that's a good word. We're calling the angel brigade. I guess that's what I'm doing, calling all those angels around the world to get your wings back on and spread them and really take charge now of how you're feeling. Don't succumb to those lies. Start reaching out to people like Rob and myself who see what's going on And we're calling you to wake up, to do what you came here to do, because by the time 2020 came, some people were numbed out. They were half dead. They had been, what, up the wazoo. They can't think straight. Even the GMOs in the food, everything and fluoride is guaranteed to shut off your third eye. So,
Calcification.
yes. So everything outside, even beyond the lies, everything out there is actually just designed to destroy us. So what you're doing, Rob, is amazing in terms of getting people to that point they actually want to go investigate themselves. That is huge because like there's millions of people that are just sitting in their chair getting upset and riled up, but not ever wanting to go the next step, like even writing their senator. Who knows? It's like the next step, just researching and finding out your own belief systems. If you I don't care if you come to believe what they tell you to believe, if you've actually done enough research in the right places, and it's a valid decision, like you actually saw the statistics on both sides, and real statistics and real things.
Absolutely. And it's wild too because this community is powerful and nobody people don't realize that as at all. On Clubhouse, when California was trying to propose these 10 specific legislative bills that were going to turn California into this authoritarian state, we did shows and we rallied the troops in the sense of contacting and kind of going out there and talking to their senators and the statesmen and trying to get them to not go along with these 10 bills and we actually overturned. I think there's still a few more that have to work, but from all the phone
Yeah.
calls and all the rest of it, we overturned a few of them. We were a part of that, and that is boots on the ground change. But there's also a spiritual side to doing that. There's this feeling of achievement and this feeling of whatever you put your mind to, you can facilitate that change. We need to be that change, and it comes from the inside out. And when our insides are changed, the outside changes as it does, and so be it. Right, like it'll do it on its own. And I think that finding those truths help facilitate that, because when things start to change, a lot of, like, when I first started to change myself, I had a very hard time because I'm very routine regimented. Now, while I still have my routines, they're not routines that are harmful. They're routines like meditating. Make sure you wake up every morning and you meditate. That's how it works. I keep to my routines, but they're regimented now towards my expansion, not my deterioration.
Yes. Well, routines are also, God, I read this book about stepping in to the shamanic world. And it really talked about, or I was listening to the shaman. That's what it was, at Conscious Life Expo. And he was talking about make everything a ceremony, make everything a ritual, even brushing your teeth. Because if you make everything sacred in your life, like coming on the show or brushing my teeth or picking up the phone, doesn't matter, if it's all sacred, then you're creating those rituals of respect and dignity and consistency. So this concept of ceremonies and rituals is actually a really beautiful one. Everything could be a ceremony, in a
I
sense, of
love that.
coming
I
of
love that.
coming together. Yeah, yeah.
The Native Americans, when they used to drink from the rivers, they would take tobacco and sprinkle it into the river as a blessing, because tobacco to a lot of native cultures were their way of kind of, because smoke is what it is. They feel it's almost spiritual. So when they would sprinkle it, it was like them giving themselves spiritually back to the river. When they were just letting the water, they were drinking the water, letting the horses drink the water. But every time, if you didn't do that, it was,
You
it's wild.
Well, guess what? I have also heard that fairies like tobacco, and that
Oh
the
yeah.
trees, that you can feed your plants and trees a little bit of tobacco, and that they like it too. So we have a question for you,
Hmm.
and we can both kind of answer. Do you feel more secrets are going to be revealed around the world that around the world, like some that are being dug up and found recently. Are you talking about ancient secrets, Tina Marie? Or other secrets? She's in the back room. I can see her. She's shaking her head yes. Because
I
I kind of think about today's secrets too. So,
Of course, of course. I think that there's going to be more unearthing. You know, if we look at what they're doing in China, a lot of their pyramids are covered like they're mountains. So, how many layers underneath, like underneath our dirt, is there other pyramids? Is there, civilizations that were burned away in the Library of Alexandria? That was the documentation of them, and I think there is a lot more to be found. It's not just a little bit. There are a ton of secrets to be found. Where did the Maya go? We'll find that out soon, I'm sure. Where did the Inca actually go to? We'll find that out too. They talk about the portals, and the stargates that they had to go somewhere else. I think that a lot of that a lot of the information is we're already within our DNA. It's becoming aware of those DNA strands to access it in ourselves. So there's not only secrets that are going to be revealed on a physical level, but on a spiritual level too. We're going to activate some of our ancestral DNA. That's going to change us, maybe on a physical, on the physical plane too. But I think that it's going to be a lot of secrets revealed, both internally and externally.
so that's interesting about where the people go because one of the big things about that I've been researching on Tartaria is where do all those Tartarians go? And they were here as early, in the 1800s, and then they just disappeared. They were all put in mental institutions around the country and around the world, but people have disappeared off this planet, which is very interesting also. Where did they go? Has anyone
Wow.
disappeared them? Was there another civilization that came and disappeared? Because we've had these great resets for many, many times, more often than we are aware of. And what
Right.
do they do with these people? Well, something to think about.
Who knows? And what
Who
what Tina
knows?
just said too, she said they found something here in Pennsylvania right now, very tight-lipped and calling in the Native American tribes. I believe that what they found in Pennsylvania is the same type of evidence that Stephen and Evan Strong found down in Australia. And it was with the Aboriginals, they had, certain skeletons that were not of the Aboriginal archetype. And I think that in Pennsylvania and some of the burial grounds in Pennsylvania, they found the same thing because it was commonplace for them to be here around that time.
So meaning they'd be finding either tall beings or the large heads
Yep.
or extraterrestrial um, energy, yeah, extraterrestrial bodies. Well, we know that they've hidden, down in the Grand Canyon. All the Egyptian artifacts are hidden. Smithsonian is just like an artifact eater, garbage
Yeah.
disposal. That you send something to the Smithsonian and they have a mandate. So who do they work for? Who's mandating that giants around the planet, their remains are being destroyed? Like who's in charge of all that? Why? What story are they really hiding to keep from us? That what would be so dangerous for us to know that there were giants that roamed the earth? That what would be that danger that we're not advanced enough as a civilization to deal with that.
I think
Obviously,
anytime they want to rewrite history, it's going to be an issue for them because they lose the control every time it happens. And I think that, the Smithsonian is one of the biggest offenders of crimes against humanity. They
yes,
truly they truly are, because again, if we don't know where we come from, or we don't know where we settled, or where our lineage sprouts from, we're lost. And when you find that connection to your line, you have this feeling, and it is an actual connection. It is an actual spiritual awakening of the DNA inside of yourself, and I don't want that. And when that becomes awakened, you're now stepping into your potentiality again, and more as time goes on. And you can use those older teachings from that lineage to enhance yourself now. And they don't want that. They don't want that.
they don't want you to remember how powerful you are, guys. Everything was so that we could just be go to work, support them, feed them. The giants became enraged when the humans couldn't feed them anymore. and started destroying everything. They want to be. Yes, I don't want to talk about them anymore. We're going to finish that part. No more days, guys. We have the power inside though to say no, and it's about becoming aware that shady things are happening. Unfortunately, they've been happening probably since we were born. We didn't even notice them. We didn't know it. And now they're here in our face, and it's so exciting to see the truth. Like when you get to sort of see the difference, it is exciting. Whew.
Absolutely. And one of the things that is amazing is that we can sit here and talk about these low vibratory type of beings with a high vibratory type of conversation and completely change. Like we're completely changing to what it is, right? And
Yeah.
that is the power, is taking that lower vibrational stuff and being able to transition into a high vibratory. Well, we were high vibing the whole time, but and so that is essentially us shining the light, because like Phil Gruber says, the information is the activation. I love when he says that because it's so true. Finding out the info transforms you. Always, it's always work on you. No matter what you're reading, what you're doing, it's you. It's always back to you. So the
Right.
first thing you have to do is love you. You have to love you, and you have to walk in that love. And we were talking about this. I was talking about this with Dr. Victor last night, Reverend Dr. Victor. Love doesn't just mean as in you love somebody. Love is more. It's multifaceted. Love is empathy. Love is compassion. Love is gratitude. There's love is not just a hey, I love you. Love is everything. Love is appreciation for everything around you. Love is so multifaceted. And when we say we walk in love, that's what we mean, is that multifaceted love, not just that, hey, I love that person. And that's where we have to be, in that center of love. And that's going to ultimately bring us to a true potential, honestly, I think.
Well, I can't argue with that because I think that who'd want to argue with that? Of course, love is the way. Getting to love is the challenge. And the exciting part too, what things stand in the way of us being love, and how do we emulate that? So Rob, as people say, you said it perfectly, and we had a great comment about love is alchemy. So from what you're describing, love is alchemy because it's energy.
Hmm.
And it's an electricity that can come through it. It activates the neurons, and it does activate electricity through your body because it puts you in a higher state. And when you're in that higher state, you can look at, see my higher state. I go green.
I saw that. It's flashing green. That's awesome. Does that mean
Yeah.
money? Is that what that means? Money's coming on the way? Money
A little
green.
wisdom, prosperity for all, and that's another thing. Prosperity for all, by the way that our money system has been on the planet, being prosperous is an art form, and it's been, and even basic living has been denied to half the planet. What's that about? When we know that we had free energy with Tesla, he knew how to create free energy. And the Tartarians in the 1800s had free energy. They actually had electrical not cars, but they had fake electrical bicycles and electrical platforms and a lot of things that were running electricity.
That's
But
all.
when electricity runs through you as an idea, that's the most exciting thing, I think.
That you become the transmitter, and now you're conducting everybody else's electricity to up the frequency a little bit. And I love doing that, and that there is a satisfaction in that. So it's not just me helping people. When I see people start to turn into that research mode, I get a satisfaction out of it. I really, really do. It's not just for them, it's for me too. And I'm going to be honest about it. And
Yeah,
prosperity is such a big word, and a lot of what we do, shows like this, and helping people, there is this balance of trying to make it worth a living, or make a living for yourself. And I'm in that stage where it's like I'm trying to figure it all out, and it's very difficult. But if we're not doing what we're doing, who's going to do it? And we have to be here doing what we're doing. So money is never an issue. It's never an option. It's never something that holds you back. But there is this dichotomy where you have to kind of maintain some sort of lifestyle too. And it's like I'm now is where I'm working on that balance. And it's it's back and forth, but it's a balance, and it just like everything else, you know.
You do a you do a lot of service, and it's a myth that people who do a lot of service and give back should be poor and starving. I don't know where that myth came from,
I
but
hope not.
what you're doing is valid work, and it is waking people up, and you're doing these shows that are media. They are, really tools that are waking people up. So yes. And so guys, when you go to Rob's YouTube and he has, PayPal me here, it's because no one pays him to do all the research he does to bring us all the information he does. He does that because he's got this spark inside of him that has obviously reached his threshold and really propels up. But you were born to know. I think if someone was to do your cards, they'd say, yep, he was like just born to know,
I
born to
think
know,
so. I've
born
I
to
do
know.
tarot too. I have a tarot deck, and I've been playing with them and learning from a lovely lady by the name of Melinda Williams, and she's a psychic medium out of Arizona. She's incredible. I started kind of with the paranormal with her, and the paranormal was a lot of fun. I
I
kind of got
met her.
you met Melinda. I'm sure you have. I'm sure you
Yeah,
have in Sedona, probably.
I met her. I had dinner with her, Jimmy Church, Carolyn Ford, Victoria, and Adrian, who does the Disclosure Fest. Oh,
Oh,
you would have
amazing.
loved to have been a fly on that wall.
Oh,
Yes, I sat
absolutely.
right opposite. But I loved her. She seemed to be really powerful.
She's very good. She's very good at what she does, and she it's very strange for me when I come in contact with somebody who's a medium like yourself or like Melinda. I get this ability to help with the reading, and it's like my senses kind of turn on. So me and her, we used to like kind of come in like a triangle formation with somebody, and while we used to have a show called The Seer and the Scholar, and
You did the show with her,
yes,
with
yes.
Melinda.
Yeah,
Oh, okay, okay, because she talked about a show. I had no idea it was you. Okay.
really. Yeah, we were actually working on a contract for Discovery and oh, what was the other one? Travel Channel, I think it was. But the paranormal is not my mainstay, and I touched in it for a little while. It was fun, but things fall through. It is what it is. It's not like I
I
see
get
it
it.
as
I get it.
obstacles, and kind of we overcome those obstacles. But I wouldn't be here where I am right now without those training wheels and trying to get things done and kind of seeing the business side of what happens when these people go into TV shows and how, contracts and all that stuff. It's
Oh,
really wild. It's a lot that goes to it, but so the people you
God
see on
bless
TV,
you.
you have to give them a little bit of credit because they've gone through a lot of that meandering, trying to figure out their place, and it's a
How to get
difficult. But
there.
Melinda's great. She taught me. She actually sent me my first tarot deck, some essential oils that I use, my the wood that you burn before it too.
Yeah.
I'm not very good at it, but I feel that I have a connection to this deck now because it was given to me. So
I get it. I get it. You can always put the deck under your pillow. And I want to tell you something, if you don't mind,
go ahead.
about you. So you are very intuitive. I already know that about you. And part of it is we've been laughing about your hair, the last few times. I love your hair. I want everyone to let Rob know how great
Thank
his
you.
haircut. But one of the reasons I love it so much is that you've allowed your hair to go straight up. And that's how your intuition comes in, is through your hair. And so, and this is everyone's hair, by the way, but certain kinds of ways. So when you see people with those little pointy cues up there, they are actually drawing in information from the universe. So when your hair is like that, Rob, as we were talking, I could just feel it. My guides kept saying, "You really need to tell him that. You need to tell him that." It's a very and almost like I'd say you were Native American if I didn't know you weren't. But I think you have indigenous soul
I
back in
do
there
a little bit,
with an
and I have a lot
indigenous
of mini
soul. Yeah.
antennas up here. You see it? Mini
So
antennas,
many, so many mini antennas, guys. You got that?
right?
This is all right. So, someone wants to know exactly how to reach you. They have some stories to share with you. So, is there a place to contact you?
I did put, yeah, you can email me at robyax2525 at gmail.com, or you can go on Facebook and either message Full Spectrum Universe or Rob Yax. It's very easy to find. And one more thing is about the hair is Native Americans believe that their hair is an extension of their soul, and it is their path to the spiritual side. So, you see a lot of natives, they won't cut their hair because it would be like cutting off their arm.
Yes. It's a reminder again of how sacred we are. We live in a sacred universe in which we were taught that everything's disposable, including our hair. That we're very, very interesting. I've loved talking to you, Rob. The
It
time
was
has
fun. This has
skipped
been
by.
so much
Is there
fun.
anything we left out? Is there anything we left out? What do you have upcoming that you
Uh,
want people to know about?
well, I'm going to get to that in 1 second. I'm going to answer two questions you had backstage that we didn't get to: the Ultimate
Okay.
Outsider and the Saturday Night Savage. So the Ultimate
Yes.
Outsider is me never feeling like I'm part of one group because I migrate to all the different groups. So I'm the Ultimate Outsider. I'm usually on the outside fogging up the windows when people are on the inside talking because I want to know what's going on. And the Saturday Night Savage is, I used to have a show on Saturday nights on RU Media, which was a paranormal show, but I used to call out the people who were BSing. And I used to talk to, the people who fake evidence and, try and lead people astray. So they used to call me the Saturday Night Savage because I used to be really savage about it and not caring and letting people
Oh,
know what I truly thought about them.
oh, you do not want Rob to catch you not
No,
being authentic. Oh,
that
and also that
that's
tells me
it.
you're actually a medium, aren't you?
I think I am because you know
I
what,
think
I
it
get
is.
ideas from
Oh,
out of nowhere, and the download. People say they're downloads, but it feels like a whisper. When I walk around, my ears ring, and then people are like, "That's tinnitus." No, because when I ask a question of the universe, the right one means yes, the left one means no. If both are going, somebody's trying to tell me something, and I find out what that is. I have intuition. I definitely have intuition. I don't know if I'm full blown medium. I don't see the spirits, but they do talk to me.
all right. I totally, totally, totally understand that. Amazing. I'm so happy that we just had this. I adore
Me
you.
too. You've
Okay.
got to come to my show now because I want to do that on my show. Let you just run off. I love when you just start going and you channel it, and it's beautiful. What you do is beautiful. I love your energy, Dr. John, and I love you to death. You know that.
I kind of feel like you sort of set me up. I kind of always like having you when you introduce me, and then I'm supposed to, if I'm going to do something, or if it's on the spur of the moment, you kind of set me up, and then it's sort of like you launch me. Oh, you throw me to that. This is what he does. He throws me to the threshold, and then they catch me. The
That's
angels,
it.
they catch me with wisdom, and
Excellent.
that's how our shows go. He just pushes me out there. You're there. Oh, look! Did you
That
see
was
what just
awesome. That
happened?
was awesome. It's like you just like I threw you up right there. You were gone. Whoop, right up to the threshold.
It just didn't work again. Couldn't repeat it. All right, Rob. We will see you next time, guys. Make sure you hang out with Rob. Do everything with him. Go to Full Spectrum Universe. I'll be on his show soon. He's got lots of. Sometimes we collaborate on other things with Omar. So we'll see you next time, Rob.
Oh, awesome.
Thank you
Thank you
for
so
being on
much.
the show. All right. Oh my God. All right. Time just went very fast. Like we were in no time. Okay, time I think is another one of those falsehoods. We don't even know what it is, but that's another story, my friends. I love you all. I wanted to remind you, make sure if you're new to the channel, like, subscribe, and share because why? Joan of Angels is going viral, and we need your help to get viral and to reach all those people who need this wisdom and who need to be inspired to remember they can do what they came here to do. And on that note, guys, I want to remind you, tell all of you about planting the seeds for my 4-week class, which is coming up in June on Live Your Life's Purpose, Your Soul Purpose, which I think is really important now. So go check out, and it's not on the website yet, but I'm putting it in your brain. joanofangels.com. So go check out the site and get on our email list so you know what's going on and get the first ebook about your soulful purpose. That is a mouthful. Well, guys, I just love you all dearly. I actually am going out live in 2 hours on Portal to Ascension at actually 3 Pacific with a few of your other favorite people. We're doing a show on the spirit of the earth. So who knows what's going to happen on that one. So we'll see you all next time. Step into the miraculous every moment. That is where we're going, guys. We're going higher. So I love you all. Bye for now. All right. We'll see you all next time.